I just got an haircut, as you can see here. Well, and in this video, I want to talk about collateral advantage. And I'm addressing you believers. Some of you are in places, you are in certain circumstances where you don't want to be, you want to get out, you want relief, but still it is as if you can't leave the circumstance. Now, there are times that there are attacks that you will need to overcome, but it's not always the case. Sometimes the Holy Spirit places you in a place for the benefit of someone else that you're not aware of. Okay, let me give an illustration. Okay, let's say I'm going to use myself in this parable. It's a parable, it's a fictive account, but I'm going to use myself now. Let's say I'm walking in a street. I enter a mall. Then in the mall, I enter into a restaurant. When I enter the restaurant, people look weird at me. And I'm thinking, you know what, people look weird at me, I'm out of here. So I leave. So next week, I'm in the mall again. And I sit at the restaurant. And I think, well, people looked weird at me past time. I'm not going there. But then I realized this restaurant's quite cheap, so I go there anyway. So I eat my dinner over there, pay it off, then I'm gone. Now later I found out, because about a month later, someone near the mall asked me where I went to such a restaurant once. I said, oh yeah, I did. Why? Then they tell me, sir, when you entered that place, people felt it as if an army entered in. They felt a big presence with you. I said, oh, okay. And then the individual said, there's more. There were people in that restaurant that were about to fight. They were about to beat someone up. But the moment you entered in, they became frightened. And the individual they wanted to beat up in the restaurant, he left at peace, safe and well. The perpetrators who wanted to attack the guy, man, they never came to the restaurant again. And that individual they wanted to beat up, they dropped it. They dropped all their anger against the individual, just stopped. They left the guy alone completely. What was going on? That guy over there had a grandmother praying on his behalf, because the guy was addicted to drugs and he had some conflicts in the streets. So some of those people in the streets wanted to teach him a lesson at the restaurant, because those are street people, they don't care about it, someone else's restaurant, they just want to settle their thing. The prayer of that grandma pushed me to go to that mall. I wasn't aware of it, just thought let me go to the mall. So when I entered the restaurant, I was led by the Holy Spirit. So when people looked weird at me, it was those perpetrators who looked weird at me, and some of the bystanders had noticed that the perpetrators were looking weird at me. I wasn't aware of it, I just thought, oh man, this is a bad vibe, I'm out of here. But that's how it worked. I was not aware of it. In that case, my presence was a collateral advantage for someone else. Let me give another illustration. Let's say that there is an office somewhere in the city and there is this hooligan out there. He carries his radio with him and he blasts music very loud. People looking at him and thinking, they just want to keep on walking. He's a hooligan, he loves his football club and he sings about it publicly. So people call the police come and the police leaves. They don't arrest the guy. What he's doing according to law is disruption of public order, but they don't arrest him. Then a lot of people at the office were, man, they were fed up. They were upset. But hold on a minute. hold on a minute. That guy out there, he drew the irritation of all those people in that office, right? One of those individuals in that office is a middle-aged woman who tends to beat her husband and also goes off at her children. Most of the time people think it's the husband beating the wife, but it also happens all the way around. She carried her bad energy, though to wrong thing in bed, she also wants to evaluate. So that guy Hooligan out there, he is disrupting public order, but what's happening now? That woman that works at that office, every day she is hooked by her annoyance against that hooligan. And because of that, when she arrives at home, she's so tired that she just goes to sleep. And because of that, she has no energy left to act out against her husband nor her children. So those husband and children are now relieved. They're now spared harm because that hooligan was doing his thing out there. And there's another thing. That hooligan in the past, he used to have a big mouth, as some people say. So in the streets, there were people that wanted to hit him, they wanted to take out on him. So they thought one day, a group of guys thought, okay, when he leaves the supermarket, because after he leaves school, he goes to that supermarket, and then he walks home. When he walks home, we get him. So they thought they were coming after him. They were in front of him to surround him, 15 guys, just in case he tried to run away. Now what this so-called hooligan did, he spoke out a word, he decreed a word. And when he did that, a wind appeared and blew the group away. And they fell to the floor 20 meters away from where they were. And they had pain when they landed on the floor. When that happened, the whole group fainted them, they fled. And they reported what happened to other people. And since that day, the guy goes to school, nobody wails against him. Even some of the teachers who couldn't stand the guy, they behave now. What happens? That guy operated in true faith. He did not think, oh, I need to have a gun with me, or I need a knife, or I need to make sure I please people's expectations. He did nothing wrong. He didn't treat anyone impolitely. He was just being him. But they couldn't stand that, so they wanted to will against him. Now they didn't will against him anymore, because that experience, they're being blown away, they realized that there is some big power behind him. And one of those guys that tries to knock him out, he later turned away from that street life. He became a police officer, and he had good contact with the police chiefs over there. So every time people called the police to remove that hooligan, he would make sure that none of the officers would arrest him. He even came with fake documents to pretend as if that guy was an undercover agent. And it worked. And you know what? That hooligan being over there, a lot of pickpockets around didn't try to pickpocket people. So him being there had a lot of advantages that he was not aware of, and that a lot of people are not aware of either. But there was an advantage. So listen, I don't know where you are now, or what the circumstances are. Don't be frightened by the circumstances. Look, don't be terrified of fear. Let fear be terrified of you. Don't run away from violence. Violence will run away from you. That's how it should be. As a believer, violence runs away from you. I'm not saying that there won't be any attacks, because look at the New Testament. The first apostles, they encountered violence. They suffered, okay? So I'm not going to say that everything will be at ease and rosy. No. Violence will flee from you. Even if it doesn't happen immediately, it will flee from you. That's why you need to walk by faith, agree with Christ, to operate in the supernatural. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm still alive, making these videos. Nobody tries to knock me out. Nobody tries to commit identity fraud with my data. That's why nobody tries to, I say, shoot me down, or no cult tries to kidnap me, because I walk in the supernatural. Because let me tell you, there are enough people out there who have a will against me, have reason against me, who are obsessed because their expectations are not met. They expect that nothing good will come from me. They had all those bad projections that they couldn't defend and they don't want to let go. There are a lot of people, listen, even before I came to YouTube, I had enemies out there because people just thought it was a good idea to will and to put me in the next category, even without there was any evidence of any wrongdoing on my behalf. You know what? I walk by faith and violence flees from me. The same I want for you. That's why I walk by faith and peace.